My day often starts with questions that have answers. Why did this service group get more delay, which query is choking the database? Why did last night's deploy fall into a loop? These questions have logs, have numbers, have knots we can untie. But there is another group of questions that are not so nice. They do not give me logs, they just sit there and make a gap in my head. Today, I and you will step into that gap. Not to show off what we know, but to train a soft skill that is very strong, living with the unknown. When I was a student who loved algorithms, I had a strange habit. Each time I wrote a recursive function, I stood up and walked a few laps. I would think that if the program is a forest, then each function call is one more step into the trees. The 10th step, the 20th, the 30th, then how do we get out? That feeling of being lost and finding a way is the same as the questions I carried from childhood. If I were a dog, how would the world smell? Do fish feel pain the way I do? Is there a script already written for my life, or do I choose all of it? If there is a script, then what is free will? And if there is not, do I dare take full responsibility for every choice? As I work more, those questions did not go away, they grew up with me. From an engineer to a person who leads the tech side, I met many cultures, many work styles, many ways to tell a story. Sometimes on long flights between two cities, looking down at lines of light in the dark, I do my own little exercise. I count the things I know for sure, then I count the things I do not know. The second list is always longer. But oddly, it makes me calm. One small rule helps me not drown in the unknown. Change the question. Instead of asking, what is the answer? I ask, what do I have to measure to understand a bit more? In our work, that is to write a test first, then code. In life, that is to gather fuzzy questions into a few checks we can run. Today, I want to test two classic puzzles with you. How many universes are there? And if life is common, why have we met no one? Let us start with a simple picture. You and I stand under a clear night sky. The sky is a dark sheet with white salt on it. The earth under our feet is so big that a life of walking still cannot see it all. Yet the sun, a lamp in the corner of the yard, can swallow about 1,000,000 Earths. That feels unfair, right? But the sun is only a speck in all those stars in our Milky Way. The faint mist that our eyes see is only the porch of our galaxy, and the best lenses of humans can look deep into only a small part of the whole. The key here is the observable universe. It is like a ring of light around a campfire where your eyes can still read in the night. Light outside that ring may still be on its way, but it may never reach us because the sandy yard keeps stretching. We call the part we can see and measure a window frame. Do not mistake the window for the whole house. The feeling that maybe the world is only this much mostly comes from that window. So what about the multiverse? You can think of each universe as its own deploy environment with its own set of environment variables. In one environment, gravity is a bit stronger. In another, the basic particles are a bit different. Some environments boot and then shut down right away like a test container. Some run strong for billions of years. These pictures are not made up for fun. They are models that modern physics builds to explain why the set of numbers in our universe falls into a not too tight, not too loose zones of stars and planets can form. One branch goes even farther. When the micro-world makes a random pick, nature can give many possible results. One way to read this says all branches happen, like get branches that split at the same time. In one branch, you are listening to this podcast this morning. In another branch, you are walking in a park. We do not have direct proof to say is truly like that, but asking the question like this helps us pack the unknown into a model we can take apart. A model gives us places to put assumptions, places to look for signals, and places to improve. Why do humans like to model the unknown? Because we are animals who can tell group stories. You and I have agreed on shared stories to work together, rules of the game, trading value, and projects too big for one person. Thanks to that, we bring enough people, tools, and time to build telescopes, build accelerators, open data for the whole community. The history of this teamwork teaches one thing. Each time we agree to say, we do not know yet, but we will learn, the border of what we know moves back a little. Some people say these guesses like the multiverse sound like fairy tales. I agree on one part. Each model is a story with what ifs, and stories can be too pretty, but my work as an engineer taught me a strict way to use stories with the right dose. When a system has not run yet, set clear assumptions, write clean notes, and find a way to measure as soon as you can. When new data comes, be ready to drop the old model. There is no ego in science, there is only duty. To hold on to reality, I like a few finger math tricks. The age of the universe is on the order of tens of billions of years. The Milky Way has stars on the order of hundreds of billions. Each number, when read slowly and thought through, says one simple thing. No matter how many universes there are, our window is still small. We have had good telescopes for only a tiny moment if you compare with all of time. In other words, if the universe is a very long novel, humans have read only a few lines at the start. And then the next question comes in a very natural way. If the playground is so wide, why have we met no one? I like to call this the hearing the neighbors problem. A city has many homes, lights on and off all night, yet from my balcony I hear only the insects. Maybe the neighbors are too far. Maybe the walls are too thick. Maybe they talk using a signal we do not know how to hear. Or maybe there are no neighbors yet. This problem in science has a short name, but what makes it great is how it makes us look back at ourselves. Let us take the problem apart into a few simple pieces. First piece, size and time. Light has a speed limit. A signal needs many years to go from star to star. You and I have listened for a short time on a narrow band with only a few antennas that are small compared to the field of the sky. Imagine you knock on the door of the house next to the yard for 1 second and then leave and say, no one is there. It may be true, may also be too fast. Second piece type of trace. What are we looking for? Leaking radio waves, odd light patterns that show someone is harvesting star energy, strange air parts in a planet sky that hint at biology. But if others choose a more thrifty path, share information at small scale, use very little matter, spend energy with great care, then their traces are also careful. The biology of mind, if it puts lightweight first, may fold down to the micro level. On Earth, our tech has shrunk from big lab rooms to a chip in a pocket. Maybe mind at the universe scale also goes that way. Third piece, self-traps. A young mind learns to use fire. Fire cooks food, makes tools, grows power. But fire can also burn the forest. The history of our tech is the history of two-edged knives. A hard but honest question: is there a great filter that many minds cannot pass? The filter could be behind us, which means we were lucky and passed it, or in front of us, which means we must be more awake. Both paths call for duty. Fourth piece, rarity. On Earth, simple life came fairly early, but tech mind, like humans, came very late. Maybe the jump from alive to can build tech is so rare that even a whole galaxy has only a few points of light. If so, we are not lonely, we are rare. Rare means value. It also means easy to break. Fifth piece, a different way to see. Maybe they see us like we see an ant colony. Ants do not understand a highway, not because a highway is hard, but because ants have no idea for it. If so, the traces may be right in front of us, but our idea set is not yet ready to name them. I have seen this many times at work. A system bug is not where we think, but on a lower layer or a higher one. To see it, we must change our angle. All these pieces are not answers. They are a way to add structure to a huge question. Structure helps you and me move on without burning out. With structure, we know which branch we are testing. When a branch gives no signal, we do not get sad. We just close that branch and open another. Now, someone will ask, what is the use in the end? I think the first use is for how we live. When we accept questions with no ready answers, we stop asking the universe to bend to our will. We learn patience, clear looking, and how to say, I do not know, without feeling weak. In a meeting room, the words "we do not know yet, here is the assumption, and here is the plan to measure" are often the strongest words. In life, they are kind of calm. The second use is for teamwork. Big human projects start with a shared story. We decide together that open data is good, that putting a telescope in space is worth it, that lowering bias so we can listen to each other is needed. From there, each person does their part. Someone builds optics, someone builds control, someone writes algorithms, someone reads results. A clean failed result, one that kills a guess with solid data, is also a win. It is like making a clean commit and removing a dead end from the map. The third use is for the feeling of being alive. On some rare nights, I hold a guitar and play a very simple chord loop. Music does not answer any question, but it gives me a sense of fit. The universe may be too wide to hold with the mind, but sometimes, in a small moment, with notes in the right place, I know I am inside a story bigger than me. This does not need hard philosophy. It needs small, steady attention. Back to the two first questions: how many universes, and why have we met no one? It may be one, it may be many, maybe we are the first in our area, maybe we live in a big city, but the window is still small, and we are whispering on the wrong band. For now, all lines are maybe. That is not failure. That is the natural state of knowledge when it stands at the water's edge and looks at the sea. If I must pull out a few practices to take home, I will choose very simple ones. First, make a clear name for the unknown. When you do not know, name it instead of letting it hide in the mess. Do not know because of missing data is not the same as do not know because the model is wrong, and not the same as do not know because the problem is not well said. Name it to know if you must measure. Must learn or must change the question. Second, shrink the question into an honest test. At work, that is a small test that can run in a few seconds to check one guess. In life, that is a tiny habit you can do each day to see if your view about yourself is true. Small steps, steady steps, small steps, steady steps. Third, learn to use both eyes, the eye of science and the eye of history. The science eye helps us measure, compare, and loop. The history eye reminds us that things we think are new today have come before in another form. Each time a group agrees, they build things bigger than one person. Each time we forget we stand on others' shoulders, we repeat old mistakes. Fourth, keep a spirit that is both humble and bold. Humble before data, bold when you state a guess. That mix helps us go far without blowing up. Last, keep a sense for beauty. It may sound fancy, but it is very useful. Beauty is a sign of good structure. A beautiful answer has few guesses, few patches, and is easy to test. Beautiful code is easy to read and easy to keep. A beautiful theory, if wrong, is wrong in a few clear places. On the road with the unknown, the sense of beauty is a quiet compass. There is one picture I like for when things get too abstract. Think of us as people walking on the beach when the tide is going out. Each pull of the water leaves a new wet band of sand where shells appear. We bend down, pick shells, write notes, and argue with joy. The sea in front is so big that no one in one life can swim across. But each new band of sand is a chance. No one knows where the end of the sea is. That does not make the walk pointless, it makes the walk worth it. If you have listened this far, maybe we share a feeling. We do not need to know all to live full, but we need enough curiosity to live awake. Curiosity is not loud. It is the habit of asking one more after we are tired. It is how I look up at the night sky and say softly, maybe I am small, but my question is not small. Tomorrow, when we go back to very concrete things, fix a piece of code, check a test case, talk with teammates about the plan for the week, try to place one small moment for the unknown, stand by a window, look out, and ask a very short line, what can I measure today to understand a bit more? It may be a metric in a system. It may be a feeling in your heart. It may be a long-held question about the sky. The answer does not need to come now. The question just needs to stand there like a friend. The universe may be one or many, may be near or far. The neighbor may be using a different kind of light. We are not sure. But we are sure of one thing. You and I can walk together step by small step, measure with honesty, tell true stories, and let curiosity lead the way. When we do that, even if we have not seen anyone out there, we have already become an answer for each other. And maybe the very act of you and everyone sitting down and thinking about questions no one knows the answers to is already a notable event in the story of the universe. Not loud, but clear. We go on, slow and steady, curious and calm. Then see how far the tide pulls back today.